Good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning. How is everyone this morning? Good. Welcome to the Triangle Center for Spiritual Living. Is there anyone that's here for the very first time? Aye, yay. Wonderful. That's awesome. For you, my name is Reverend Dusty Ripplemeyer. I'm the spiritual director of this lovely, lovely community. We are a community that practices, studies, lives by the philosophy, science, and way of life known as the science of mind. And we believe that there is one God, that God is not something outside of ourselves, but it is a God that is within us and surrounding us, that it's a benevolent God, and that that its power and presence within us as a creative process allows us to create our lives, to create the experiences of our lives. And since we can create them, and if we don't like them, we can change them. So change your thinking, change your life, and we're very glad that you're here. Thank you. Thank you so much.
I'm going to read now our reading for today by Albert Einstein. A human being is part of the whole, called by us universe, a part limited in time and space. He experiences himself or herself, thoughts and feelings as something separate from the rest, a kind of delusion of this consciousness. This delusion is a prison for us, restricting us to our personal desires and to affection for a few people nearest to us. Our task must be to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circle of compassion to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature in its beauty.
So good morning to those of you that might have just entered the sanctuary. Our theme for the month of August is the global vision, beauty, nature, art, and aesthetics. And my talk title today is How Generous People See the World. The underlying statement from Ernest Holmes, What We Believe statements, is we see a world in which resources are valued, cared for, and grown, and where there is generous and continuous sharing of these resources. The science of mind viewpoint is we live in an abundant universe. Cindy just sang about it. Now, Wikipedia, the all-important source of information, describes generous as showing a readiness to give more of something, such as time or money. It is showing kindness, loving kindness to others. Its synonyms are benevolent, open-handed, noble, altruistic, big-hearted, magnanimous, kind, and unselfish. Generosity is the virtue of not being tied down by concerns about one's possessions. And often it means to provide assistance to others by giving them something usually precious without thinking twice. Now, although the Latin root of the word generous means of noble birth, it by no means means that to be generous you have to have a position of power. Everyone can be generous. Often when we think about generosity, we think about money and the giving of money to charitable organizations, but in truth, people give in many ways of their time, their talent, and their treasure. Even a simple smile or a hand placed on a shoulder can be an act of generosity. Generosity makes our world much better, and it improves the life of the giver. Year after year, more and more studies are highlighting the benefits of generosity to not only our physical health, but our emotional and mental health. Generosity reduces stress. It enhances one's sense of purpose. It naturally fights depression, and it increases one's lifespan. Studies show that being generous makes us feel better about ourselves. Jason Marsh and Jill Schutte of the Greater Good Science Center say that when we give to others, we not only feel closer to them, or they not only feel closer to us, but we feel closer to them. By focusing on what we're giving rather than on what we are receiving, we create a more outwardly oriented lifestyle. Reverend Michael Beckwith speaks to this when he says, evolved people give to live until they live to give. As individuals expand their understanding of universal laws, they learn to give in order to live a life of inner wealth. They understand that they live in an opulent universe that seeks instruments through which to give of its unconditional love, compassion, kindness, and resources. Now, he's not talking about selling the car and the house and giving everything away, but more about living from a consciousness of letting something within you be shared, be given to others. I love this idea of being an instrument for God, of taking all of these amazing, wonderful qualities of God that live within us and sharing it with other people in our lives. Now, in an article called 9 Ways Generous People See the World Differently, the author Joshua Becker talks about 9 different ways, and I'm going to share 2 of them with you this morning, 2 that I think are very significant. Now, the first idea is that they recognize the resource pie is not finite. Too often, race consciousness has a mindset of competition. There is a belief that I have to get mine first, that there's not enough to go around, that my resources only grow when somebody else's diminish. Now, this mindset assumes that there is a finite-sized pie. So the whole belief is based on a false premise. The truth is that God is all that there is. The truth is that God is infinite, and the truth is that the fullness of God is everywhere at all times. God lacks for nothing. It's everything. How could it lack for anything? This means that if I take a piece of the pie and I share that piece of pie with someone else, that the whole of this pie still is available to me. God lacks for nothing. It is infinite. Since each of us is a divine manifestation of God, and if God is infinite, then we are infinite. If God can't lack, then we are not lacking. But what is happening is that we have a perception of lack and limitation, and then we act from that perception. We act from that context. Now, generous people don't do that. Generous people know the spiritual truth. Generous people know that God is abundant. Generous people know that the universe is abundant. The second idea is that they believe that changing even one life is worthwhile. Joshua Becker says, generous people are quick to admit the world's problems will never be solved by one person, and perhaps never completely solved even in the future. But perfection does not slow them. To them, changing even one life within their sphere of influence is reward enough. Remember the story about the young boy that's passionately throwing starfish after starfish back into the ocean because he had found that they had been washed up onto the shore. And when asked why he was doing something that in the end wouldn't ever really even matter because the next morning they were going to be just washed back up onto the shore, his reply as he threw yet again one more starfish into the ocean was, "It mattered to that one." It mattered to that one. We have absolutely no idea what one generous act, what one generous word, what one generous deed will do for someone else, and what they then, in turn, will do for somebody else. We have absolutely no idea of the scope of our influence. Now, we've been having a conversation this morning about generous people. And I want to continue this conversation for a moment, and I want to take it in a little bit of a direction that makes it a little bit more personal for each of us. First of all, within this conversation about generous people, I would like to thank all of those people who have, throughout the year, given so generously of their time and their talent. This includes Reverend Bill and Reverend Betty, Roberta Gilgore, all of the practitioners, all of the leadership council, all of the leaders of sacred service teams, and all of the leaders of home groups, the entire website team, the entire music ministry, all of the teachers in the youth and family ministry, and all of the sacred service volunteers, anyone who has ever washed a dish, hung a sign, lit a candle, vacuumed a floor, given a hug, sang a song, facilitated a workshop, or done anything else that has in any way contributed to us powerfully doing the work that we are here to do. And I'm grateful for all of you that come to our services, that have grown through our classes, that have deepened through practice, and that have shared of who you are so willingly. This center would cease to exist without each of us. This center would cease to exist without the generosity of everyone. Now, I'm very proud of this center, who we are as a place of welcome, a place of warmth, a place of wisdom, a place of love. We've created services that are filled with beauty, ritual, insight, wisdom, and love. We've offered classes and workshops that take all of us deeper and expand our consciousness. We've offered many opportunities that allow us to be together in fellowship, such as potlucks and barbecues, game nights, movie nights, concerts, and other kinds of creative ways in which we get together. We have supported each other as we've moved through dark nights of the soul, those kind of moments that we experience from time to time in our human lives. We stand on the shoulders of those that have come before us, and for their consciousness, their wisdom, their insight, their dedication, and their love, I am grateful. And we have grown over the last 7 months through our own dedication, commitment, consciousness, and love. We've expanded our services and created new ministries, specifically the wellness ministry, the outreach ministry, and the prayer and care ministry. We've tripled our attendance at Wednesday services through our destination transformation conversations. We facilitated our very first retreat, a retreat that was attended by 30 people in the spring. We've expanded the scope and the activities of our teen ministry, and we'll be taking 8 teens to camp for the very first time at the beginning of next year. We've created a new website that is beautiful and hip and easy to navigate for all of those that find their way to it. And we are about ready to unfold a new way of supporting our membership through a tool called Fellowship One, which will allow us to do so many things, including having a living, breathing membership directory that will be available to all of our members. All of this has been possible through the generous giving of the time and talent of each of us. We have been and are continuing to have a conversation about generous people. Now, sometimes when you talk about generosity, it tends to bring up thoughts about money. I don't like to talk too much about money. It sometimes seems to put a damper on the room. Babs, could you lock that door? It often seems to turn off some people, to shut them down, or to create some feelings of fear that come up. But this is a conversation that we need to have, and so the invitation is for everyone to just take a deep breath and to allow your hearts and your minds to stay open. What I want you to hear and to truly, truly understand is that this conversation is not coming from a place of fear or lack or limitation. I know, Reverend Bill knows, Reverend Betty knows, all of the Leadership Council knows, and all of the practitioner knows that we live in an abundant universe. That we are fully sourced, fueled, funded, and supported by God itself. That each and every divine idea, like this center is like an acorn, and that it comes fully imbued with everything that it needs to become its highest and its best. But like the acorn, it needs to be taken care of. And the facts are, the truth is that we are fully supported, and the facts are that we need money on the human plane. It is said that even mystics need to pay the bills. So I want you to get related to a couple numbers today, to what it takes to run your spiritual center. Now, I don't know that we've ever had this conversation before, and I know for myself that I never had any idea, no idea about how much it financially costs to run a center such as this until I was on this side of the conversation. So in the interest of complete transparency, would it surprise you to know that in the year 2015, our average monthly expenses were $25,876? Or would it surprise you to know that year to date, through the end of July, our average monthly expenses are $23,432? Now in 2015, we experienced some months in which we brought in an income that handled those needs, and some months we did not. And again, this year, some months we're bringing in the income that can handle those needs, and some months we are not. Both in 2015 and in 2016, we had to dip into our savings account. But the underlying truth is that we are abundant, that all of our bills have been paid, and all of them have been paid in a timely manner, and we are thriving. We are thriving. So the question this morning is, while we are doing fine, how can we ensure that we're meeting our monthly needs? And so I have 3 possibilities. The first possibility is that we cut expenses. Now perhaps you noticed that when I gave you the numbers, that we have already cut our expenses. That in 2015 it was around between 25 and 26,000 average monthly, and now it's 23,500. We have cut our printing bill by more than half, which also means Many of you will be happy to hear that it means we have a smaller footprint on the planet, which is going to become even smaller because beginning in September, we are stopping making flyers for our events. Everything will be online. And everything will be online in a way that is able to let you know exactly what is going on when. There are calendars, there are descriptions. You can peruse. The website is up. Did I fail to mention? It is up, it is running. Play with it. See what is there. It is beautiful. We are using brewed coffee. I know it's kind of a bummer for some people, but we're using brewed coffee instead of K-cups. And we now only have one potluck or barbecue per month rather than having something every single month. Every little thing helps. Every little thing helps. We've also reached out to our membership in really collaborative ways to utilize their skills and talents. For example, our new website could quite possibly have cost us $10,000. But because of this exceptional team, we were able to create it for the $69 it cost to buy the original template. We have amazing resources here, and they are valued. They are valued. The second idea is to reach out to more people. Now, if our theme of the year is the global vision, a world that works for everyone, and we know that this happens one person at a time, then my vision is that we grow, that we draw unto ourselves more and more families, more and more young adults, more and more teens, more and more men and women from all walks of life and all ages. That this center becomes not only a hub for transformation, but the hub for transformation. Not only a beacon of warmth and light and wisdom, but the beacon of warmth and light and vision for the Triangle area. What I know is that this is a teaching that changes lives, a philosophy and way of being that brings about a greater awareness of the power and presence of God within. And my vision is to share that with everyone in our little corner of the world. When you have an opportunity, pick up a Natural Awakenings magazine for September. They just happened to arrive this morning. Reverend Bill has been extensively studying church growth over many, many years, and he is bringing his expertise to our marketing and to the retaining of new members. Think about this. If the monthly expenses are $2,432, and we have 50 people giving throughout the month, then each person would need to give $469 a month. If we have 100 people giving throughout the month, then each person would need to give $234 per month. If we had 150 people giving throughout the month, then each person would need to give $156 per month. And if we had 200 people giving throughout the month, we would have to, that each person would have to give $117 a month. Now, anything over and above these amounts would be available to fund a new home or new ministries as we grow. More people. Hence, bring your friends on September 11th. Talk about us. The third idea is for everyone to look within. Just to look within and to see if you have any room to begin to give of your time, talent, and treasure if you have not been giving, and to perhaps give a little bit more of your time, talent, and treasure if you have been giving. What I know is true for me is that wherever you are on this path, whatever it is that you are giving and whenever you are able to give it is absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect. There is no right or wrong, nor good or bad, no amount that's too little or amount that's too big. Everything is in divine right order. What I know is true for me is that when we are willing to give of ourselves, we open ourselves up for the flow of life. That what we give comes back to us in so many wonderful ways. What I know is true about this center and this teaching is that it has played a significant role in many of our lives. It is our spiritual home. It is the place where we can have meaningful conversations with like-minded people. It is the place where we can come to learn the tools that can assist us in creating a life that we love. It is the place where we can laugh our heads off, sing our songs without fear, and dance as though no one is looking. It is that place for each of us. Generous people see the world as abundant. They believe that changing even one life is worthwhile. So the invitation today is to get quiet, to nurture your own personal relationship with God, to truly know who you are at your very core, to begin to get in touch with what is wanting to be expressed through and as you, to allow the answer to your questions of what am I here to do and how am I to do it, to allow those answers to inform your way of being in the world. And then to allow yourself to express that in the giving of your time, your talent, and your treasure. To let your generosity come from a place that recognizes that you are intimately connected to everything and everybody. Let your generosity flow from a place of wholeness. For when you do so, you are serving life. You are serving God. And when you do so, the words simply, "We are here for God," will become more than just words we say on a Sunday morning. They will become a way of life. Thank you for listening, and so it is. So I just invite us to close our outer eyes, to turn away from this world of form with our perceptions of lack and limitation, our perception of not enoughness, and to allow ourselves to have our inner eyes see the truth, have our inner awareness know the truth. That we were created by abundance itself. That God is infinite. That God is everywhere at all times in its fullness, in its wholeness. And what I know is that I was created by God out of itself, out of that fullness, out of that abundance. And what I know is that this can't be just true for me. It has to be true for everyone. So I know that everyone here today, that everyone at home listening to this streaming, that all of our friends and family, we are all a divine emanation of God, imbued with the allness of God, of the thing and yet not the thing, for the thing is so much grander. And it is from this place of wholeness, this place of oneness, connected by this golden thread of God stuff that weaves itself throughout all of life, connecting us to God and us to each other, that I speak these words about and for each of us today. Knowing that there is that within us that knows the truth. There is that within us that is more powerful than any belief in lack and limitation that we could ever possibly have. There is that within us that is seeking to be expressed through and as us, that is wanting to be used as a vessel, that is wanting to have its love, its peace, its joy, its creativity, its freedom expressed through and as us. There is that within us that knows the benefits of generosity, that is willing to powerfully step into that space. There's that within us that is more than capable of living from a place of generosity, deeply connected to the God of our being, knowing that God's givingness is our givingness, knowing that that givingness does not deplete us, because we cannot deplete God, and knowing that that givingness lifts us, showers us with all kinds of blessings that we can't even in this moment imagine. And so what I claim for us in this moment is that we step into this idea of generosity powerfully, that we use it to change our own lives and the lives of those in our families, the lives of our friends, the life of this community, individually and collectively. Knowing that as we do so, we do our little part in changing the world. In this moment, I speak a word of prayer for Melody Reich, Janine Rogers, Susan Robinson's mother, Sandy Rogers and her daughter, Betty Courier, and for anyone else experiencing any need today, knowing that right where they are, the wholeness of God is, the love of God is, the abundance of God is, the joy of God is, and the peace of God is. And I'm so grateful to know this truth, so grateful for the opportunity to speak these words. So grateful for the power of prayer, knowing that these words are loosed into a law that only ever says yes, that they are clothed in form even as they are spoken. And so I speak them and I release them with love and gratitude and full expectation of their manifestation, letting go and letting God be God. And I invite each of us to anchor them for ourselves and for each other and for this community, simply by saying, "And so it is. Amen." Amen. Thank you all very, very much.